Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of my channel. My name is Keika. I'll be going over Campbell's biology textbook, chapter by chapter, section by section. This video will be going over concept 1.4. We've already gone over 1.1, the study of life reveals unifying themes. 1.2, the core theme, evolution accounts for the unity and diversity of life. And 1.3, on studying nature, scientists form and test hypotheses. This video will be going over concept 1.4, science benefits from a cooperative approach and diverse viewpoints. And these are the little subheadings: building on the work of others, science, technology, and society, and the value of diverse viewpoints in science. So let's get started. Concept 1.4, science benefits from a cooperative approach and diverse viewpoints. Movies and cartoons sometimes portray scientists as loners in white lab coats, working in isolated labs. In reality, science is an intensely social activity. Most scientists work in teams, which often include both graduate and undergraduate students, and to succeed in science, it helps to be a good communicator. Research results have no impact until shared with a community of peers through seminars, publications, and websites. And, in fact, research papers aren't published until they are vetted by colleagues in what is called the peer review process. The examples of scientific inquiry described in this book, for instance, have all been published in peer review journals. Okay, and taking a look at my notes here. Scientists work in teams including graduate and undergraduate students. Research results have no impact until shared with a community of peers through seminars, publications, and websites. Research papers are not published until they are approved by colleagues in a peer review process. And peer review basically means that other people are looking at their work continuously and checking it to make sure that it's valid. Building on the work of others. The great Isaac Newton once said, "To explain all nature is too difficult a task for any one man or even for any one age. 'Tis much better to do with a little with certainty and leave the rest for others that come after you." Anyone who becomes a scientist, driven by curiosity about how nature works, is sure to benefit greatly from the rich storehouse of discoveries by others who have come before. In fact, Hopi Hoekstra's experiment benefited from the work of another researcher, D.W. Kaufman, 40 years earlier. You can study the design of Kaufman's experiment and interpret the results in the scientific skills exercise. Oops. So this is the experiment of Kaufman. I'm just going to skip over it. I apologize. Scientific results are continually scrutinized through the repetition of observations and experiments. Scientists working in the same research field often check one another's claims by attempting to confirm observations or repeat experiments. If scientific colleagues cannot repeat experimental findings, this failure may reflect some underlying weakness in the original claim, which will then have to be revised. In this sense, science polices itself. Integrity and adherence to high professional standards in reporting results are central to the scientific endeavor, since the validity of experimental data is key to designing further lines of inquiry. It is not unusual for several scientists to converge on the same research question. Some scientists enjoy the challenge of being first with an important discovery or key experiment, while others derive more satisfaction from cooperating with fellow scientists working on the same problem. Cooperation is facilitated when scientists use the same organism. Often, it is a widely used model organism, a species that is easy to grow in the lab and lends itself particularly well to the questions being investigated. Because all species are evolutionarily related, such an organism may be viewed as a model for understanding the biology of other species or their diseases. Genetic studies of the fruit fly, Drosophila melanogaster, for example, have taught us a lot about how genes work in other species, even humans. Some other popular model organisms are the mustard plant, Arabidopsis, Thaliana, the soil worm, Cain or Habditis elegans, the zebrafish, Denurareo, the mouse, Mus musculus, and the bacterium, E. coli. As you read through this book, note the many contributions that these and other model organisms have made to the study of life. Biologists may approach interesting questions from different angles. Some biologists focus on ecosystems, while others study natural phenomena at the level of organisms or cells. This text is divided into units that look at biology at different levels and investigate problems through different approaches. Yet any given problem can be addressed from many perspectives, which in fact complement each other. For example, Hoekstra not only carried out field studies showing that coat coloration can affect predation rates, but also did lab studies that uncovered at least one genetic mutation that underlies the differences between beach and inland mouse coloration. Her lab includes biologists specializing in different biological levels, allowing links to be made between the evolutionary adaptations she focuses on and their molecular basis in DNA sequences. As a biology student, you can benefit from making connections between the different levels of biology. You can develop this skill by noticing when certain topics crop up again and again in different units. One such topic is the sickle cell disease, a well-understood genetic condition that is prevalent among native inhabitants of Africa and other warm regions and their descendants. Sickle cell disease will appear in several units of the text, each time addressed at a new level. In addition, Make Connections figures connect the content in different chapters, and Make Connections questions may ask you to make the connections yourselves. We hope these features will help you integrate the material you're learning and enhance your enjoyment of biology by encouraging you to keep the big picture in mind. Okay, so I wrote, scientists benefit greatly from the work and research of past scientists. Scientists continually check one another's claims by attempting to confirm observations or repeat experiments. If it cannot be repeated, there is a flaw or weakness in the original claim and it needs to be revised. Integrity and adherence to high professional standards in reporting results are important for validity of experimental data. Cooperation when scientists use the same organism, usually a widely used model organism, a species grown in lab. Since all species are evolutionarily related, the model organism can help us understand the biology of other species and diseases. Biologists may pose interesting questions from different angles. Helps us to see interactions between different levels of organization. So this takes us back to concept 1.1, the biosphere, ecosystem, communities, populations, organisms, etc., 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 down to the molecules. Okay, and we're just going to keep going here. Science, technology, and society. The research community is part of society at large, and the relationship of science to society becomes clearer when we add technology to the picture. Though science and technology sometimes employ similar inquiry patterns, their basic goals differ. The goal of science is to understand natural phenomena, while that of technology is to apply scientific knowledge for some specific purpose. Because scientists put technology to work in their research, science and technology are interdependent. The potent combination of science and technology can have dramatic effects on society. Sometimes the applications of basic research that turn out to be the most beneficial come out of the blue, from completely unanticipated observations in the course of scientific exploration. For example, discovery of the structure of DNA by Watson and Crick in 1953 and subsequent achievements in DNA science led to technologies of DNA manipulation that are transforming applied fields such as medicine, agriculture, and forensics. Perhaps Watson and Crick envisioned that their discovery would someday lead to important applications, but it is unlikely that they could have predicted exactly what all those applications would be. The directions that technology takes depends less on the curiosity that drives basic science than on the current needs and wants of the people and the social environment of the times. Debates about technology center more on should we do it than can we do it. With advances in technology come difficult choices. For example, under what circumstances is it acceptable to use DNA technology to find out if particular people have genes for hereditary diseases? Should such tests always be voluntary, or are there circumstances when genetic testing should be mandatory? Should insurance companies or employers have access to data, as they do for many other types of personal health data? These questions are becoming much more urgent as the sequencing of individual genomes becomes quicker and cheaper. Ethical issues raised by such questions have much to do with politics, economics, and cultural values as with science and technology. All citizens, not only professional scientists, have a responsibility to be informed about how science works and about the potential benefits and risks of technology. The relationship between science, technology, and science increases the significance and value of any biology course. Okay, so here I wrote, the research community is part of society. The goal of science is to understand natural phenomena. The goal of technology is to apply scientific knowledge for some specific purpose. Science and technology are interdependent. They work together. Discovery of the structure of DNA led to technologies of DNA manipulation that transformed medicine, agriculture, and forensics. Technology is based on the current needs and wants of the people, and the social environment, and on the social environment. Debates over should we versus can we. Is it a good idea? Ethical issues present. All citizens have a responsibility to be informed about how the science works and about the potential benefits and risks of technology. The value of diverse viewpoints in science. Many of the technological innovations with the most profound impact on human society originated in settlements along trade routes, where a rich mix of different cultures ignited new ideas. For example, the printing press, which helped spread knowledge to all social classes, was invented by the German Johannes Gutenberg around 1440. This invention relied on several innovations from China, including paper and ink. Paper traveled along trade routes from China to Baghdad, where technology was developed for its mass production. This technology then migrated to Europe, as did water-based ink from China, which was modified by Gutenberg to become oil-based ink. We have the cross-fertilization of diverse cultures to thank for the printing press, and the same can be said for other important inventions. Along similar lines, science benefits from a diversity of backgrounds and viewpoints among its practitioners. But just how diverse a population are scientists in relation to gender, race, ethnicity, and other attributes? The scientific community reflects the cultural standards and behaviors of the society around it. It is therefore not surprising that until recently, women, people of color, and underrepresented groups have faced huge obstacles in their pursuit to become professional scientists in many countries around the world. Over the past 50 years, changing attitudes about career choices have increased the proportion of women in biology and some other sciences, so that now women constitute roughly half of the undergraduate biology majors and biology PhD students. The pace has been slow at higher levels in the profession. Due to systemic forms of historical and contemporary bias, women, people of color, and other marginalized groups are still significantly underrepresented in many branches of science. This lack of diversity hampers the progress of science. The more voices that are heard at the table, the more robust, valuable, and productive the scientific interchange will be. The authors of this text welcome all students to the community of biologists, wishing you the joys and satisfactions of this exciting field of science. Okay, so finishing up with our notes. Many innovations originated along trade routes where a mix of different cultures ignited new ideas. Printing press would not exist without the innovation of paper and ink from China. German technology led to oil-based ink over the water-based ink from China. Science benefits from a diversity of backgrounds and viewpoints among practitioners. Some scientists had to overcome greater obstacles to become the professionals they are today, such as women, people of color, and other represented groups. Due to historical and contemporary bias, women, people of color, and other marginalized groups are still underrepresented in many branches of science. The lack of diversity hinders the progress of science. Okay. So we are finished with Chapter 1. Evolution, the themes of biology and scientific inquiry. We are finished. We can go over the Chapter 1 review, summary of the key concepts. I don't think so. It's okay. Anyway, next video we'll be going over Chapter 2, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye!